So I do have a starter file that you can use to get this set up so you don't have to set up and maybe follow along today with this tutorial. But I have this tuna can, which is a cylinder that's been resized. I added solidify to make it thicker. I have a cube that's been stretched out and a sphere. And ultimately, we are reviewing rigid bodies. So let me show you what we're going to be making. So this is going to spin and push the little marble that's inside this tuna can. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. So I'm going to play it one more time. And then it's just reacting by the laws of physics. So back to our file. We are setting all of our objects by the laws of physics. I'm going to start with the sphere, just like in the last tutorial, and I want to apply some rigid bodies. So that's under this tab here. It has a little dot with a half sphere around it, and I want to select rigid bodies. This is going to be an active object, so I need it to react to this cube that is hitting it. So it is dynamic, it needs to react, it's active, and remember, we always want to set the settings as mesh. So nothing really happens to it right now. It falls right through the can, in fact, because we didn't do anything to the tuna can or cylinder or whatever we want to call this. So I'm going to start by working on that. So I have this tuna can, and I need to add a rigid body to it as well. So again, I just check my tabs, rigid body. This is going to be a passive object. And I'm also going to use the mesh for that. And I have my settings saved. So now if I play it, it stays in the can. It doesn't fall right through. This is the different part for this lesson. I want to animate this, so I need to use my animation that I'm familiar with from previous lessons, and also combine that with a rigid body. So what I want to do is, this just needs to spin. So I'm going to set this up with a rotation animation. So that's where its starting point is. On 80, I want to rotate this. I'm going to use my blue sphere here to rotate this, about 3/4 of the way around. And I'm going to insert a keyframe again and set the rotation. So it's spinning. Now it doesn't interact with the red sphere yet just because it's not set up with rigid bodies, but I do have it spinning. So the sphere is reacting with the cup or the tuna can, and I have this cube spinning. Now I need to set my rigid bodies for the green cube. And again, physics properties, rigid bodies. This is active, it's moving. I also need to know, I need to tell the computer that it is animated. I went in there and I animated this object. And I'm going to switch this to mesh and see what happens. So now I have my marble gently staying in there. It's in the cup and it flows around the cup. It is possible that your marble might fly out of the can. I would look at mass properties for that. I would check out how much you're spinning this. Are you trying to spin it too much in a short amount of time? That could be impacting it. I did make this tuna can, this cup, kind of thick, so that might not happen as well. So hopefully that wouldn't happen because I did add solidify to this. But there are some things that could happen if your marble's flying out of there. So I would want to take this marble and check out the mass of everything. I would want to slow this down. But I do have happening what I want to happen. The last steps would include rendering it, but before I render it, just a reminder, I need to bake it, and that is under the scene properties. I want to make sure I have a check mark by rigid body world. Look for cache, and in cache I want to bake. So I'm at a point where now I can render my animation, and once it renders through all 250 frames, I have my animation where I have a cup or a tuna can pushing around my marble.